Hey guys, welcome back to Project Time Garage. Today's project will be installing this, a hands-free Bluetooth device into Project Freedom, our 2000 Ford F250 with a 7.3 diesel. If you want to learn more about that project, click up here. I found this device on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description below. All I have right now is the factory radio, which I'm going to keep, and this little Bluetooth FM transmitter thing that plugs into the cigarette lighter. And while that's well good and fine for streaming music, the call quality is terrible. I can hear people, people can't hear me. This is going to fix that, I hope. I'll give you a full report at the end of the video of how I like it after I've used it for a few days. So, let's get started. So let's start out by having a look at the packaging here. This is a hands-free Bluetooth kit from a company called iSimple. Found this on Amazon. I was looking around a little bit trying to find something for my my F250 Project Freedom on this channel. I plan to keep the stock radio in the truck. Don't ask me why, but I plan to. And since Tennessee has a hands-free phone law, you know, I really don't have any choice but to either do that or have a Bluetooth earbud in my ear all day, and I just really don't want to do that. So this is the next best thing. I did have one of those little cigarette lighter adapter things that you plug in, and it, you know, it broadcasts an FM signal to your radio, and that's fine. But the problem is the call quality on it is terrible. I can hear people fine, but they can't hear me very well, especially in a diesel truck riding down the road and bumpy and noisy, and it's just a bad experience. So hopefully this right here will solve that problem. So basically it really just gets in the middle of the antenna connection. It's powered from the vehicle, so we wire it in, and your phone connects to it via Bluetooth, and happiness comes out after some magic happens. So let's open this thing up, see what we're working with here. We have some instructions. Don't need those. We have the unit itself. Looks like it has a male and female antenna connection. I'm assuming this side goes into the radio and this side comes from the antenna of your vehicle. It just kind of sits in the middle of that connection there. Have a multi-pin connector here and a mic interface. Do not use dip switches. Do not use dip switches. So that makes me want to use the dip switches just right there. Maybe we'll get those instructions out at some point after all. How about that? So that's the unit. As far as wiring goes, let's see what we've got here. Looks like that goes there. Figured that out. And then we have a red and black. I assume that's going to be switch 12 volts. That's probably going to be ground. And then we have a pink and a black. I saw something pink in this package here. Hey, that looks suspiciously the same. So I'll bet you pink goes to pink, black goes to black, and that's probably the button input. I wonder if it's just as simple as pushing the button basically just crosses those two wires momentarily. It's just a momentary button. Maybe. What this button does, this will allow you to, you know, press to answer a call, or also you can press this thing under normal operation and then bring up Siri or your Hey Google operation if you'd like. So that's pretty cool. And then finally we have what is probably the microphone. Yeah, this is just the mic that goes up. I'll probably put mine up on the A-pillar, behind the A-pillar trim, as close to my head as I can get it, so people can hear me better. That'll alleviate the issue that I have with my little cheap FM broadcast thing. So there. That looks pretty simple. Actually, that looks crazy simple. And I believe that there is an app that goes on your phone that you have to put on your phone. Maybe I'll find this out more when we get involved with it. So so let's have a look at the instructions real quick, just to make sure there's nothing crazy about them or anything that's just crazy non-standard. Bluetooth operation manual, media integration kit. Oh, check that out. For best performance, have it professionally installed. Yeah, we're professionals on this channel, aren't we? Quit laughing. All right, table of contents, introduction, blah, 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 contents, we know, installation, microphone, put the microphone somewhere, got that. Control button, put it somewhere, controls your smartphone, answer in calls, change tracks. Okay, that's cool. What I figured it does. Connections, red wire 12 volts plus switched black ground, pink to the pink at the control button, black to ground. Good with that. Microphone, good with that. 3.5 millimeter auxiliary, good with that. What else we have here? Dip switch. Oh, that's the second thing it says about dip switch configuration. Doesn't require any configuration of dip switches. So that's twice it's told me to leave the dip switches alone. I may have to mess with those dip switches. LED phone setup, Bluetooth pairing. Okay, so yeah, there's an application called Transit Blue HF. So we'll download that, change the frequency. Oh, so we can select the frequency through the app. That's how we stream audio. I wonder if that's the only way to stream audio. Okay. This is useful at point of installation. I bet it is. All right. Oh, and then there's a whole control mode here. Okay. Once we get this thing wired up, come back to these instructions and start with the troubleshooting. See if we can make this thing work. Let's set about the process of installing this thing. See if we can do something fun. Okay, to start with, let's get some stuff out of our way so we can actually do the job. We'll start with this little thing here. This is the guy right here that was pretty much is responsible for making me do this project. This thing sounds terrible. Can't wait to get rid of it. We'll get the phone mount out of the way. Super gooey, sticky thing. I'll tell you what, suction cups have come a long way, haven't they? Just throw him up on the dash there. Next will be the tablet mount. Everybody keeps asking me about the tablet and how I've got it mounted. And the truth is, it's got a suction cup, but you can see I haven't even taken the plastic off of it. I literally just jammed it back in that hole, and it seems to work pretty good. So get rid of our handy-dandy little vent air conditioner thing. It's pretty warm in here today. Of course, that's probably my hand, but it's about 90 in the shop today. So nice and warm. If you don't know about Ford radios, oh, by the way, before I get started, this is not meant to be a how-to video. This is not a tutorial. This is how I'm going to do it. So you could probably follow me and get it done. May not be the right way, may not be your way, but it's my way. These are the little Ford radio removal tools, and there's a pair of them. You see that I only have one of them, so it makes for a pretty interesting time getting the radio out. Anybody else would just go buy another one of these or another pair of these and have two, but nope, not me. Push that in this side first, just till it clicks. Do that. One side will come out. Then I'm going to go to the other side. This will be so much easier with two of these, but nope. Like that. So we'll start with just getting the radio out of the way. We'll pop the antenna plug out of it, and we'll pop the factory connector out of it, and that's what we're left with. Big gaping hole in the dash. That's what I like to see. So on these dashes, they just basically pop loose, which is really, really nice. You gotta love the snap tight stuff. I've got to have the key. So in order to get the dash completely out, there's a few things we have to do. First and foremost is we have to get the steering column tilted all the way down, pull the truck in low gear, and that'll give us just enough room to start lifting this off. Now, there's a few connectors that have to be removed, so I'll just take a pick. I'll just take a pick here and pop some of these off. Every one of these things unplugs a little differently, so you're just going to have to feel around and see what it is. Being a contortionist helps a lot too, so if you're one of those, you'll have a much easier time with this kind of a project. I have a couple of things going on here, so I'm not going to take my dash completely out. I've got some wiring that goes up to my fog lights up front. Then I've got the wire that runs up to the tuner down here on the ECM. So I'm not going to go down there, unplug all that stuff. I don't think it's necessary just for what I've got to do here. There's not much that has to happen. I pulled this dash off just to give me a little bit better access to see where I'm going to mount this unit. I don't want to have to work completely under the dash upside down on my head while I'm trying to film it, so this should make it a little bit easier anyway. Got easy access to everything here. Let's get the unit, get it over here. I'll likely tap into, I'll probably just find a switched wire here. Let me grab the unit and we'll get started with that part. Okay, so here's our hands-free unit. It's got plenty of slack. We already know the factory antenna plugs in here, so that connection is made. Feel great about that. Next thing we're going to figure out is just where we're going to mount this guy. I mean, I don't want it just rattling around in the dash, so I think I'm going to, actually I'll tell you what I think I might do. I might put it right back here, possibly behind this, and just use a good old-fashioned zip tie to hold it in there. In fact, let's start that process and just see how it looks. Before I can do that, though, I've got to at least plug the connectors up on it, don't I? So let's start with this. Plug him up, and then let's go ahead and at least get our microphone at least plugged up and hanging out of the dash somewhere. We'll run it later, but this will at least give me an idea of whether or not it's going to work. Sure, it's going to work. What could possibly go wrong, right? Famous last words. So I will just run this through here. Plug this into the microphone slot. And just kind of feed this guy back here somewhere. We will just get a happy little zip tie and zip tie it right there. Let me find a zip tie now. Okay, I'm back. Guys, it took me fully 15 minutes to find one zip tie. And I really literally found one zip tie. What kind of garage has one zip tie? I figure a guy would have a bunch more than that. I guess not. Anyway, here's the elusive zip tie. And it's a long zip tie too. Even better. Even better. So let's get our ducks in rows here. Working around the steering wheel is really, really easy. We'll go this way, and we'll go this way. We'll go crazy zip tie. remember those dip switches I was talking about earlier? Now that I've got this thing all zipped in the dash, that $50 I have to change dip switches. Kind of want to change dip switches, actually. They're fun. All right. So that's taken care of. So the truck has, so the unit has 12 volts positive switched and ground, and it says that you're supposed to hook the two negatives together. I have no problem doing that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find some switched 12 volt power. So here is my methodology for that. I'll go ahead and turn the key on. All right, now the key's on. So whatever power is going to be here is here now. My methodology is this. I know that this factory radio has 12 volt switched, and it also has a 12 volt constant there. I don't know which one's which, but I do know that I can go through and identify all the ones that have power on them right now. When I turn the key off, the one that goes off, well, that's my switched. So that's what we're going to do. Again, right? I don't know. Wrong? I don't know. Way I'm going to do it? Yep. Let's see if this is ground. That seems to be the challenge in working on vehicles today. I'm just going to back probe these. It's hard to find anything that has a good ground on it. Let's see. Is a cigarette lighter? Surely that's good. Ah, there we go. So I'm testing my test light now. And I don't know about your garage, but in my garage, before you pick up a tool and expect it to work, you better test it, because yeah, I got some junk. So anyway, let's walk through this and just back probe every one of these and see if we hit something with some power. Nothing on the top row. Jump down to the bottom. I wish they could just stick with a good old... Oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. So, looks like a green with a brown stripe, or maybe that's purple, and a black with a pink stripe. Okay, so I've just turned the key off. I'm going to back probe these again and see what's what. So right there, the black with the pink stripe doesn't have any power, so I'm betting this one does. Yep. So that means that the black with the pink stripe is probably our switched. So now I've got it back probed. Let's turn the key on. Yep. We have lights. We have found our victim. And as far as ground, that should be pretty easy. I'm not sure I'm going to cut into the ground wire on this harness. I may not do that. So let's go ahead and let's make the connection on the 12 volt switch real quick. I'm going to pull it out of this because I want some more length. And here's what I'm going to do. Never, ever, ever use these things because they're tragic. That being said, I'm about to use one of these things because I don't really want to cut into the harness, and I'm not even sure I'll like this thing, so I'm just going to have some commitment issues for a while. Okay? I'm not sure if you've ever used these before or not, but this is how they work. You basically, you take one wire and you put it in there, and I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but in this little channel right here, it's got a stop. So it's got a place you push the wire in and it stops. So that's where this wire with the cut in will go. It'll just sort of slide through there and stop when it gets to the end, and that's so it doesn't just hang out and you have like bare wires hanging out. The other side here, the other channel, that's where you're going to put your wire that you don't want to cut. And once you get that all lined up, you take a pair of pliers and you smash this thing down, and it just cuts into the wires and makes a connection. I'm not going to say it makes a good connection, it makes a connection. So let me grab some pliers. I know where those are. So what we'll do is we'll just slip this guy on here like this, and run this guy in here like this. Actually, I'd rather have it going the other way. So both my wires are in there. They feel not too miserable. And we'll just give them a good squeeze. Poke them down there good. Get that good and seated. Now that I've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and hook up my test light. I've got the key turned back on again. I'm going to go ahead and hit this right here like so, and you'll see my test light lights up. That little metal clip there is basically just a little bridge, and it's just bridged these two wires together. So the fact that this thing has voltage on it gives me at least a little bit of a good feeling that it's going to work. This little cap right here covers up all this mess that we just made. There's my connection. Now again, these things right here are notorious for having bad connections, especially if they're out in the weather. It's just game over at that point. Inside a truck that's probably going to be inside most of its life, I'm not too worried about it in here. So next thing is this. They want us to put both of these wires together. Okay, so now we have the two ground wires. And it says that both of these things are supposed to be hooked together. But it also says that the black wire on the button needs to join these. I have a feeling that I could probably just ground this and it would probably be just fine, because I'm reasonably sure anyway that all this button actually does is short to ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to put it all together in a neat, nice little bundle, all pretty, and I'm going to use one of these guys on it. Just an eyelet connector, and we're going to crimp it with a pair of these. If you've never worked with one of these things before, you'll see what it does. It kind of squishes the center down there, and I usually crimp the length of these kind of connectors. You see, it just makes a nice nifty little dent. Well, when I'm done there, the back of these pliers, this section right here, I'll actually put the connector in there and then squeeze from this section, or from this side. And what that does is it creates a crimp that's not just like this, it actually forces it down and makes a really good solid connection. I've never had one of these come loose, and I've used these things for probably 20 years now. Had really good luck with them. The next order of business is to connect these. Okay, let's make the connection for the button. In order to do that, I'm going to use one of these, just a little butt connector. Called a butt connector because it just butts the wires together. No other reason. So do the same thing with that. Crimp it both ways. Squeeze it together like that. And then the other side is the part that I usually forget until it's too late. Heat shrink tubing. So I'm just going to take a piece of heat shrink, cut it. If you don't have lineman scissors, these things are absolutely great. Well, electrician scissors, lineman scissors. I came from the telco world, so originally, so the lineman's scissors for me. So see how loose that is? Sometimes when the connections are loose like that, I'll actually bend them back on themselves just to get a little bit more meat on them. Then I'll crimp them. Again, 20 years of doing this stuff, haven't had a problem yet. So if it's really, really bad, then just a lucky guy. Slide our heat shrink over there. Then I'll wish I had a cigarette lighter or something to heat this up. You're not supposed to use cigarette lighters, just so you know. But I have a cigarette lighter. And that's what I'm about to use. Just don't go crazy with it. There we go, that's plenty. Doesn't have to be a watertight, waterproof connection. Again, it's inside the truck. So that has all of my wiring connections taken care of. So the only thing I have to do at this point, I need to send this mess. Oh look, I'm bleeding. I bleed a lot. So I'm going to send all of this mess down in the dash that way, and then I'm going to climb under the dash, stand on my head, find that factory ground point, put this under there, under the existing screw, and then I'll come back to you. Figured I would go ahead and show the location of the factory ground point under the dash that I told you about. It's easiest to get to it by taking off the screws on this panel. Having one hand and other on a camera, it kind of makes it a bit interesting. So the factory grounding location is right there. I guess you can probably see that pretty well now. There's enough stuff there that I'm probably just going to start a brand new place there, and I'm probably just going to do it with a self-tap-in screw, and we'll call it good enough. Because, yeah, you want to use an impact ratchet on a small screw with a small grounding strap. Why wouldn't you? That's taken care of. Let's get our test light out of our way and some of this wiring out of our way. Need to decide at this point where I'm going to put the button. And that is just a great question. I have no idea. Honestly, I'm probably going to put it right here, because I don't want to poke any more holes in the dash. The truck's had enough holes poked in its dash. I feel sorry for it a little bit. So I'll probably just leave enough slack to pull it right out. It just uses two-sided tape. I'll probably just stick it right there. The other thing I've got to find out is on the microphone. How exactly I'm going to get the microphone over. Since I've got the dash apart already, I'm going to go ahead and sort of pre-run it. I'm just going to get it over to the general area where I know it's going to go, and then we'll do the final run here in a bit. Looks like right there. I'm just going to gingerly push it through some places. Okay. I'm going to pull all the microphone wires slack right through the dash and get it all over on the other side. Getting ready to make its way up the A-pillar trim. That's good enough. Alright, let's go ahead and clean up our zip tie. That's taken care of. Okay, I think I am probably in a good enough place now. I really need some zip ties again. Alright, find some zip ties. Okay, hit the mother lode. Found two. Somebody's going to be buying some zip ties. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of extra slack here for the button. It's going to hang down in the dash a little bit, but it's super small cable. In fact, this zip tie is just overkill, but it is what it is. Okay, there we go. Next process is I'm going to put this dash back together, or at least the dash bezel back together. Then we can worry about putting the radio in and all that. Two snaps there. I have no idea why I'm plugging up the four-wheel drive, because my truck has a manual one now. But again, it's a little bit OCD. Okay, PowerPoint hooked up, and now it's just a matter of coaxing all these wires to go back in the dash. I'm just going to pull everything back out the radio opening here. Okay, everybody out of the way. Fingers moved. Okay. So we're to that point anyway. It's looking better. Let's untangle a few of these little wires and get some people out of the way so they don't get injured. And I guess probably the best thing to do, I'm not sure, but at least what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this little button kind of dangling here and hope that when the radio goes back in, it doesn't just cut it to shreds. We'll see. Also, I'm going to take this auxiliary cable. I'm just going to roll it up and just leave it right there underneath the radio. Like I said, I'm not going to use it because I don't have anything that can use it. But it's there if I need it. Easy to get to. Nothing like using 8-foot long zip ties, huh? Okay, everybody's back out of the way. Let's take the factory radio, slide it back in. You're going to plug up the antenna. Now this is the antenna part that's coming out of the iSimple Bluetooth adapter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a file that's way too big. Should be a nice clean little spot for it. Maybe it won't damage it. So let's put this back together. Get everything all tucked back in place. Let's see if we can do this. I have room. I do. It's nice. Problem is the cable is so small that it doesn't want to just keep back in its little home there. In fact, it pulls out super easy. Doesn't want to feed in super easy though. There we go. So this is where we're going to put it. Let's peel the back off of it. I'm wonder how good this tape is. It doesn't say 3M on it. So, just wonder how it's going to stay. Alright, so we'll push that in, lock the radio back in the dash, and that part is done. Now let's turn our attentions to mounting the microphone. So my game plan is to bring out the cable here, which comes from under the dash on that side. I just ran it around and then ran it right up through there. The plan is to just shoot it right up through here behind this seal and then just all the way up to right there. All the way up to right there. I'll just clip it. We'll see how that works. Okay, so I got that ran right up this A-pillar, and it's right there. Looks professional ish. So there's that, and then for my excess, I just put a zip tie on it, tied it in a nice neat little bow, and there it is. Okay, we have instructions. So according to this thing, I'm supposed to press and hold that button for 2 seconds, and then go into my phone's Bluetooth menu, scan for devices, Transit Blue HF should show up. So I'll insert that whole thing here from my cell phone while I'm doing it. Okay, so I've set my frequency, downloaded the app. Let's go to 88.1, which is what I chose, and let's see what happens. What if we hold it? What time is it?
It's 6:16 p.m.
That works. Okay, let me call my wife. What's going on? Okay, so you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you good. I'm going to hang up and you call me.
All right, bye.
Bye. Hello?
Hey.
Hey, that works.
Yay.
Okay, that's perfect. That's exactly what I needed. Awesome. Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that works. That's super good, actually. I guess I'm done with this. We'll test it out in the days coming and see what we've got. Hey guys, just want to give a quick update on this Bluetooth hands-free device from iSimple that we installed in this video. So I've been using it for a couple of days now, and I got to tell you, I'm actually really impressed with it. It does everything that I hoped it would do, and it does it pretty well. you know, it doesn't have a lot of jobs to do, let's face it. It's got to make good phone calls, and it's got to stream music, and it does both very, very well. In fact, I like it well enough that I think I may put the factory radio back in my 2003 Ford F250, which I've not shown on this channel yet. And I actually may put one in there because honestly, my daily driver is a GMC Sierra Denali pickup that has all of the IntelliLink and all this good stuff. So when I get in this, you know, I kind of miss that stuff. So I think I may do that. Obviously, if I do it, it'll be on this channel, and I'll record every bit of it. Anyway, just thought I would give you an update on that, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so that's going to finish up the Bluetooth hands-free installation on Freedom. That's just one of many projects we're going to do to this thing. It needs a lot of little stuff, and well, I like to work on stuff. So, listen, thanks so much for spending your time with me here in the garage today, wrenching on stuff. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, click the little notification bell, and tell people about us. We'd appreciate it. And so that's going to wrap up this episode, and I'll see you next time.